1340 KVGC, a Friday morning. On the phone with us, Douglas Viviani. He's one of the hosts of Everything Old is New Again every Saturday night here on 1340 KVGC. We don't give David Cohen enough, juice on this. So David Cohen, too. We want to mention him. Don't want him to be left out, So,
he doesn't wake up early in the morning. He doesn't deserve the mention, or too much of a mention. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So how was your week?
My week was very good. I appreciate you asking. Thank you very much. It sounds like the week for the big theater in Sacramento wasn't so good, though. They seem to be tearing down that Century Theater I've looked up in Sacramento, the big screen theater. Yeah. Do you have
anything like that on the East Coast? These were big domed theaters, and when they first put them in, they called them the boobs. Because there was two of them there, and they're a perfect dome, and they were huge. And it started with just one, and then it moved to a larger one, and the larger one then it was either 4 or 5 theaters within the one dome. But it was an experience.
The dome in New York's not necessarily there. They did have some, I know, in Connecticut, which is not too far. But the big theater experience, of course, we definitely had. In New York City, they had the Ziegfeld, and in L.A., they actually have the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and certainly there were tons on Long Island where I grew up. And what I'm really kind of referencing there with the dome and this one is that theater experience back in the day, up till apparently recently, used to be a little different, where you'd have this huge screen, and sitting in an audience, you'd be there with a huge number, maybe 500 to 1,000 in the theater, and now we've cut them down to the multiplexes, and I believe they've got some plan to put a 12-theater multiplex in place, or at least in that general area, where they're tearing the one down that we're talking about in Sacramento, which is close to you there. So it kind of hits home to me that we've changed the experience, and the old is new again. Is the new's not always great. On the other hand, some people love it because they've got the people have home theaters, and they can avoid the cell phones, lights that people have in the theater that they throw up every once in a while when you're at a theater, or that superfluous beer bottle or soda can, whatever it is, rolling down the aisle, or people making comments at the screen itself, that kind of thing. So you don't have those interruptions in the theater. But I think you're missing out on the real big movie-going experience, in my view, by taking that down. I don't know. Have you been to that dome in the past?
Oh yeah, I saw Star Wars there. That was the first time I saw Star Wars. I was a freshman or sophomore in college at Sac State, and a friend of mine, Ed Camera, I remember him. We both cut class and went to go see Star Wars. It was an afternoon showing, and it was
here's the thing. I guess it's a combination of things. Possibly that you quit school, that you were in school at the time, that it was such a great movie. But I think part of the reason why you remember that, and why we remember sometimes these terrific movie-going experiences, is the theater itself, and that it was so huge and had that surround sound, and you had a huge audience with you. I think that's part of it. Now we've got a little different experience, although the surround sounds are terrific, and you've got like these big theater experiences for these disaster movies were terrific back in the day, and now we've got San Andreas, which is the Rock's new movie is number one. Whether it's a good film or not, people are flocking to see it, and I think part of that is, again, the movie-going experience of the disaster movie, which is a lot of fun.
And back in the day too, this is how. Now, I'm going to give you a visual. This is how small our area is, okay? I grew up in a town which is about 10 miles from Jackson called Ione, okay? So we had no theater. We had no movie theater in Amador County at that time. It was about 1973, maybe. They opened up a drive-in theater. It was the Bradshaw 4, because there was 4 the screens, which was about 45 minutes from here. So that was a big thing to us when we could drive 45 minutes to the theater and go see. In a drive-in theater. How many drive-in theaters are there around anymore? That's
not anymore. Drive-in theaters have gone the way of the big screen, I think, as well. Unfortunately, because the drive-in was a lot of fun too.
Oh, yeah.
They used to pay per person. They would look in the car and see how many people you had. So I remember in high school, we'd throw a couple of my buddies in the trunk of my '69 Nova, and we would go in to save a couple of dollars on the admission and sneak them out after we got in and parked and so forth. But that's for another day. We certainly will definitely approach this and talk about this and bring us to an actual drive-in, so to speak, on Everything Old is New Again down the line. I just think that it's a disaster that these theaters are going away, and brings to mind all the old disaster movies like The Poseidon Adventure and Earthquake, and now this San Andreas. I wonder if people are enjoying that. That's yet another topic that we're going to be approaching, I'm sure, down the line with Everything Old is New Again, as we take a look at pop culture and examine where it came from, and why do we still enjoy that portion of what topic of the pop culture that we're examining for the day.
I don't know. I haven't paid much attention to the movie. The movie San Andreas, but is it a loose remake of Earthquake? Remember?
Yes, it is, but the difference is, and I think this is something I would bring up when we do a show on the disaster movie. The usual thing to me on disaster movies that's a lot of fun is a cast of characters actors that many of them you know, or at least character actors that you recognize, and like in the Poseidon Adventure, a bunch of big names as well, sure, added together, and Earthquake. San Andreas is The Rock himself characterizing himself as the savior, so to speak, of basically owning his wife and daughter, and it's all people he's looking for, and it's the only people that he really saves, and it's the only person that's really focused on in the movie. The cast is rather small in terms of people you know. So I wonder if that's a sign of the times, too, where rather than save us as a group and look to the other guy, he's basically using his resources, which is his helicopter, to save his wife and daughter, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, we're talking with Douglas Viviani today. Doug is one of the hosts, along with David Cohen, of Everything Old is New Again. You hear it every Saturday evening here on KVGC. And again, give me 30 seconds. What is Everything Old is New Again? Put it in a nutshell for us.
Well, what we do is we take a look at a particular topic of pop culture for that particular week, just as we did here just now about big screens, TVs, or movies, and the big screen, the disaster movie we just spoke about, and we'll take that and examine it, where it came from, why is it popular today, and I believe it appeals to two sections of the market where the younger person will love it because we're talking about a contemporary show or movie like San Andreas, and then we're also going to take a look at where did these movies come from, and were they better or worse in the past, like the Poseidon Adventure, as we just said, and that'll appeal to the more veteran listener, if you will, and mom and dad can argue with their son and daughter later on as to what they feel, and we have a lot of fun along the way. Yeah. Along that line, I noticed that I've taken the opportunity to take a look at your website, the KVGCradio.com website. And I just wanted to bring up, talking about disasters, the studio looks beautiful. You can actually click on a button there and watch you broadcast live every day, which is terrific. But I have a little pet peeve that I want to bring up that I call a disaster. It's certainly not. Just as a segue. If you look at, anybody listening, click on this. It's terrific. You can really see what's happening in the studio. It's great. But if you look at the studio, there are a couple of pictures, especially one that you see to the right of the screen next to the bookcase that's on the floor. And I've been looking at you broadcasting, enjoying your morning show for quite a while now, but nothing's ever happened with that picture. And I'm wondering, there's never been hung. Are we ever going to hang that picture? And what is it of?
Well, it is actually it's a limited edition showcase of wine because we're in the wine industry is big in California, and the Shenandoah Valley region of Amador County is becoming the new Napa, the new California wine country. And so, these are from, I think, the mid-'90s. It was a fundraiser for one of the groups around here, and this was one of their posters, and it was a limited edition signed by the artist. Well, if you look on the other side of the door, the companion to that is hanging up. And if you could actually see to my right, Doug, there's another one hanging, a previous year's hanging on that wall. Well, I'm one of those kind of guys that I'll have to stare out at this thing, okay, for 5 or 6 hours a day. And if I couldn't get it to be the same, the top in line with the other one, it would drive me crazy. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. JD and I, my son, when he gets, we're going to hang that thing today, okay? We're going to hang it. So you give me 24 hours, click back in, and by the time tomorrow night's show comes on, it'll be hung. How's that sound? So.
I think it's great. So everyone should actually tune in now to see if they can see what we're talking about, and then tune back in maybe to listen to Everything Old Is New again, or listen to a week or two from now, or a couple of days even, to see if you hung that up and how level you got it. I think that would be great. I was going to add that to our agenda. I was going to offer to hang it when we come out to visit and do the show out there to our agenda. You could buy me the best burger in the town that we spoke about last week on my way to the Frog Jump at the Calaveras County Fair, and I'd hang a picture. So, all
right, this week on Everything Old Is New Again, we're going to continue with theme songs, right?
Yes, this week we have theme songs, and it's our 6-week extravaganza. This is week 4 of it, and we're taking a look at composers. And believe it or not, there are people that have made a career of creating TV theme songs, and then that's what they've done. There are others that have created a career where they've used that as a springboard into making theme songs for movies, and even done other things that have been even more successful. And I have found a tie-in to, and I won't tell you what it is now, a little bit of a interesting fun fact as to Don Knotts, and how Don Knotts, if you remember him from the Andy Griffith Show, how he ties into this topic and the composers of theme songs. And I quizzed Dave about that, and he gets a little, I'm sure he's going to get a little perturbed at me, because I go off the deep end sometimes on these things, but it's a lot of fun.
All right. Douglas Viviani, thank you for being our guest this morning, and we will look forward to you and David tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Everything Old Is New Again. This is Theme Songs Part 4 on Everything Old Is New Again here on 1340 KVGC. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you. Enjoy the weekend. Looking forward to speaking with you next week.